Don't cross the streams.
Why?
It would be bad.
I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. If you haven't noticed, Ben Reilly is taking over. The Scarlet Spider himself is returning. Not to the Scarlet Spider mantle, but to the actual Spider-Man mantle. Not only in Amazing Spider-Man, but in his own a series covering his days as Spider-Man earlier in Marvel Comics 616. And it just so happens I know an enormous fan of Ben Reilly himself. His name is Yellow Flash Guy. You might have heard of him. He's got his own YouTube channels. Very successful, far more successful than I am. Thank you for joining me to talk about Ben Reilly. Why you're so excited about this, buddy?
Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, I love Ben because that's what I was reading when I was a kid. People forget how long he was kind of in the mantle. I think he was the main Spider-Man for like 2 years or so, and then he was in the regular books forever. That Clone Wars, the Clone Saga went for like what 6 years.
Yes,
it was so long. It felt like 6 years.
It was a very long time. It's like when people are like, "What are you talking about?" Kyle Rayner is like, "Listen, Kyle Rayner was the actual Green Lantern for like 7 years or more." Some people, to him, he is the Green Lantern, or obviously Wally West was the Flash. With the DC universe, like you have to remember their ages depending on when you started reading. That's going to be your character.
Yeah, I was always. I feel like I'm one of the only Ben Reilly fans because everyone that you talk to for Clone Saga, it's terrible, and I'll admit there's a lot of bad stuff in there, but there's some good stuff too. Like the first time Ben Reilly shows up as the Scarlet Spider and beats Venom, that's a great little story.
Yeah, a lot of people like the original Clone Saga, but once they got into the big long one, it just there were too many twists and turns, and they didn't know what they were doing, and you could tell. It
should have ended a lot sooner than it did. That's for sure. Like the whole Traveler and Judas thing, like that was why was that even in the story? Does anyone know? Did they just stop talking about it?
Yeah, it's just there's so many things that end up getting washed over. Now, you haven't seen Ben Reilly in Marvel Comics since like 2018. Was that when they were doing the Peter David, Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider series? I know that one was actually good too.
Yeah, I liked that. Before that, he was in Clone Conspiracy, where he was a villain, which I didn't hate it. I was just glad they brought him back. I was glad to see Ben back, but it was fun to go into Scarlet Spider and see him kind of have a redemption arc, and then they haven't done anything with him since that book, really. I think he showed up, I know you covered it, like a Tony Stark Iron Man book where he was like a B team Avenger for him, and then he hasn't been around at all.
Well, he's coming back. We're getting this Spider-Man Beyond board led by Zeb Wells, who you probably like because he's done some pretty good work on Spider-Man and X-Men, but Kelly Thompson, Saladin Ahmed, Cody Ziegler, and Patrick Gleason. Some names in there that are really, really solid. Some names I'm more skeptical about. But, issue 74, when that one comes out, which I believe is next week, that's when the new era begins. And finally, this Kindred thing is going to be over. And we just had, we just had Sins Past retcon. It looks like we might be getting One More Day retcon. It's been pretty crazy.
Yeah, and that image where Peter Parker's beat down with MJ kind of, looking like she's going to kiss him. She has her wedding ring on. That's pretty interesting.
In issue 74, she has a bouquet of flowers as they're swooping through the city.
Yeah, so thank God they're finally going to come to their senses and get rid of that stupid decision. But so we talked about this before we started the video. So is Kindred not Harry Osborn? Is he what's the whole computer deal?
Okay,
Harry
so
Osborn
this is
in the computer. I've missed two issues, so
this is the way I understand it. I could be wrong because they haven't confirmed one portion of this. But the way I understand it is that when Harry Osborn died as the Green Goblin, he never came back. His father, and Mysterio having a plan, that didn't happen. Mysterio was actually putting those visions into Norman Osborn's head. He died, and his father had sold his soul to Mephisto for success. Norman Osborn sold the soul of Harry Osborn. He didn't return, but he was evil, and he had created this AI version of himself that as soon as he died, like got uploaded and became a thing, which we saw, Spider-Man fight in the past, but apparently he didn't stop it. And I guess he used, who was it? He used not only the Chameleon, but that robot villain guy. And they created a clone laboratory where they created the clone children of what we thought were Norman Osborn and Gwen Stacy. It turns out they're clones, I think, of Harry and Gwen. Sarah and Gabriel. And he was trying to make the perfect bodies, this AI version of Harry Osborn, to be hosts. And then when he finally created these two perfect versions, so Kindred is the female inhabited by the spirit of Harry returned from hell, who somehow he's escaped. And that is like him. That's his physical manifestation using his Kindred powers. And then Gabriel is actually the Harry Osborn that we've had in the 616 since this return. Okay. But Kindred can also kind of, I don't know if he actually controls that version though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that kind of comes together a little bit more. All right.
It's confusing.
Yeah, no. Hopefully in 74 they just lay this all out.
They retconned like 5 stories with that.
Hey, they got rid of some shit though.
Yeah.
The whole Gwen banging Norman Osborn was weird. I'm glad that that's gone and off the table.
So as far as I know, Kindred himself is the damned soul of Harry Osborn that was traded to Mephisto by his father.
And now he's just inhabiting that body. Yes,
and he's using Sarah as a vessel, like a physical being, so they can manipulate and walk through, I guess, the 616.
Okay. And then clone Harry, or the fake Harry is the other one. All right.
Yeah, that's
I was wondering about him too. Like, what is, because they never really explained like how Peter lost. When did Harry Osborn's death, when did he lose that memory? A part of the deal? Did Mephisto just do that?
That was at least what I thought. I was like, oh, well, when he made the one more deal with Mephisto and he had to go back to the way things were, Harry was alive, right? Where people knew his identity, and they brought in like a soulless husk of a Harry to replace it. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought all of his memory, I thought everything had still happened. They just weren't married.
Mm-hmm.
This is okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I hope they lay all this out in 74, because it's starting to feel like it's DC Comics or something at this point.
It's pretty convoluted, but that's going to get us into Spider-Man Beyond in the return of Ben Reilly to the mantle of Spider-Man. We've seen the pictures, the one that you talked about where he's like on the ground. He's clearly been beaten to shreds, and MJ is going to kiss him. We've also seen the one where he's laid up in a hospital bed, and MJ's by his side, obviously nursing Peter back to health. And the Beyond board, which I guess are trademarking, doing some stupid corporate shenanigans with Spider-Man, are bringing Ben Reilly back. Do you think he's going to be a hero or a villain? He's got to be a hero, right?
Yeah, he'll be a hero.
Because I know he's fighting Miles Morales.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, but it's just a reason for them to get together and have a little arc where they meet and team up. They'll end up teaming up.
Yeah, they have a fight, and then they realize they're really on the same side.
Yeah. My whole question is, like, what was I would like to have been sitting in the office, the Spider office, to really understand why they're trying to bring him back all of a sudden. Like, because who really knows who Ben Reilly is? This is kind of a character they haven't done anything with. And like most people have bad taste with him. I feel like they're trying to keep people from jumping off when Nick Spencer leaves. It's like, oh, well, Ben Reilly's coming back. This is interesting.
Well, the thing is, I'm very cynical. I believe that when we get the next anniversary of Amazing Spider-Man 15, which I believe will be like the 60th anniversary, or is it 50th anniversary? Something like that. It's one of those. It's a big one. Yeah, it's the 60th anniversary that they're going to relaunch #1 with Peter Parker reasserting himself to the mantle of Spider-Man, and Ben Reilly is just there to kind of keep the title going, so they can get to that point and relaunch it, and then charge you $15 after they've had ASM 850 or 900, whatever it is.
Of course, I've looked at the solicits, and there's one of the covers for an upcoming issue. Like, Peter's not going to die. Like he's in a wheelchair with Mary Jane in the top of a hospital, and then like downward on the panel, he's crawling, and someone's like pointing a gun at him. He's crawling on the side of the building. I don't know if you've seen that cover.
I didn't realize it, but I did.
Because that's the big thing. They're going to try to say he's dead for some sales.
Yeah, he's not dead. He's just holed up, and he can't be Spider-Man anymore. But I think it's kind of like what was it, Iron Man, when they had, was it Iron Man 250 when Tony finally overcame his alcoholism, reassumed the mantle of Iron Man, and fought Obadiah Stane? I think it's 250.
I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
I think they're setting up something like that, because he had been Iron Man for like 2 years at that point. I think they're doing that. They're getting a new Spider-Man in there. That way, when you get this relaunch at #1, it'll be even more exciting because Peter Parker's back as Spider-Man.
Yeah, maybe they'll do that for issue 100 then? Is that what you're thinking? The 100th issue, like that'll be issue 900.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they're doing it 3 times a month.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
They're fast, yeah. I see.
That way they can kind of line it up, and they can get issue 900, charge you $12. The next month you get issue #1, Return of Peter Parker, and charge you $15.
So many Spider-Man books with this. So you have 3.
Absolutely, we're getting .BEY issues. So there's going to be 5 issues in December.
How many? So they'll have the 3 Amazing Spider-Mans. They'll have Total Spider-Man or Non-Stop Spider-Man?
Yes.
Or whatever. Yeah, and then Miles Morales.
Web of Spider-Man.
Web of Spider-Man.
Symbiote Spider-Man.
Is that still going?
That was really good. If you haven't been reading Symbiote Spider-Man, it's awesome.
A couple of them I've read. I liked what I was reading. I think I read the ones with didn't Peter David write it?
Yeah, he's still writing it with Greg Land. Right now it's called Crossroads, and it's dealing directly with when Hulk, he didn't get sent to the negative zone. He's got sent to another alternate dimension, and he's the Crossroad dimension. That's why it's named that. When Hulk was in there, and he's just recently gone in there and met up with Insane Hulk, where Bruce Banner doesn't exist anymore. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'll pick it back up.
You should. You're gonna love it, man.
And then
good one.
There's the one that I'm actually really excited for, which has been Reilly Spider-Man. They're bringing it's going to be a total 90s book, and they're bringing
it's just like the Symbiote Spider-Man stuff. Yeah, it's in continuity, but it's back when he was Spider-Man.
Sometimes, like Symbiote Spider-Man, these can be really good. And what I like about it is they're bringing back the guy who wrote Spider-Man Lost Years, which was all about
J.M. DeMatteis.
Yeah,
he did Kraven's Last Hunt as well.
I'm actually more looking forward to that book than The Amazing Spider-Man.
And then the artist is going to be David Baldion. I think he was doing X Factor with Leah Williams. That book's atrocious, but the art was perfectly fine, so I think he'll do a good job.
So now we'll have good art and a good writer.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And you get new Ben Reilly stories. I like these. At first, I was like, this Symbiote Spider-Man idea is stupid. I think you were one of the people that suggested it to me and someone else, and I finally read it. I was like, oh, actually, this is dope. This is really cool. You're going in, you're telling independent tales that work within continuity, but you don't have to worry about what's going on right now because it happened 30 years ago.
I love books like that. You don't have to read 70 books and crossovers. You can just read that one book and you're good. Those are my favorite books because they're just self-contained.
That's why when they did that Symbiote Spider-Man like King in Black book, I read the first issue. I was like, nah, this is stupid. Yeah, I'm reading Symbiote Spider-Man to escape things like King in Black, even though I like that.
That's where I dropped off, actually, now that you say that. I didn't want to read that either.
It's like, this doesn't make any sense. We've been leading up to the King in Black for 30 years. Like, just tell this really cool story. For some reason, I guess they thought that would like pump up the sales, but I don't know. Is there a particular time when Ben Reilly was Spider-Man that you want to see J.M. DeMatteis and David Baldion like go in and visit, or maybe some questions that need to be answered? Or maybe some characters you want to see return?
I would just like to see the 90s again. I think that would be fun.
Just take what you can get.
It's my favorite storyline, I don't think they could do it, was when they did Cosmic Carnage. Do you remember that?
Nah, I didn't. I don't remember that one.
It was when the Carnage symbiote took over Silver Surfer.
It'd be smart to do it with the new movie coming out.
Yeah, that was a really fun story. And like Silver Surfer encased Carnage in like this living glass tomb. It's a really fun story. You can probably find it pretty cheap. I'm sure it's like in some dollar bins or something. But that was a lot of fun. As far as like a particular story, I don't know.
It's like when Seven Mary 3 comes to town. You're like, I don't care what they play. I just want to hear Seven Mary 3 again.
Yeah, I'm just
been so long.
It's gonna be fun to see this. And
absolutely,
this is one of the few good ideas. I don't know how well it's gonna sell, but I'm excited for it.
Hey, it's I bet it doesn't do as well as like a Symbiote Spider-Man, because at least that's still Peter Parker. But it's going to do better than a lot of their titles. A lot of the bottom rung kind of stuff. Because it is a Spider-Man title.
The Scarlet Spider book didn't do that great. I think it sold because I was watching the sales numbers and saying, "Oh, they're going to cancel this for sure," and dropped down to like 20,000 issues, which was a shame because it was a fun book.
There's so many Spider-Man books out there. You got Miles Morales. You got, at that point, you would have had, Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man. I think that's when Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man came out. You also would have had Spider-Gwen.
Yeah. I forgot about old Spider-Gwen.
It's like, this is like you can't have too much Spider-Man. Just like in DC, you can't actually wear out Batman.
Well, they wanted to. It always cracks me up with having all these different Spider-Man books because it's like, it's not the spider powers, it's Peter Parker.
Yeah.
They have all these different Spider-Man characters running around, and it's like, now Ben Reilly could work because Ben Reilly is basically, he's kind of a
he is Peter Parker, but he's different.
He lived like as a homeless hobo for a while.
With a different lived life, but he's the same thing. Yeah. That's the thing I don't get about this with Flash is because you talk about Spider-Man, that's a pretty random origin story. It's hard to get those spider powers back. It feels like it would only happen once. And the Ben Reilly thing makes sense. You clone him, it's in his DNA, it's part of who he is. Or maybe Miles Morales comes over from the Ultimate Universe, but you could only have this spider accident so many times.
Yeah. Well, no, apparently it happened 2 times because Silk got bit too by the same spider, right?
Oh yeah, we got a Silk series coming out too, so we'll have that going on too.
I never cared for that character.
I've never really read the character, but she looks cool. She's got a good design.
Yeah, she's not the worst of the new characters, but just stop giving everybody spider powers.
Absolutely, and stop making everybody Batman. It's like it gets ridiculous. In DC, there's like 8 Human Lanterns. Did you read Green Lantern?
Green Lantern?
Yeah.
Not since EVS was on it.
Well, if you go back and you read it, the reason that Hal Jordan was special was because when he got the ring, they're like, why do you have the ring? Humans shouldn't have lantern rings. You're not evolved enough. And that ring's going to corrupt you. You can't be a part of the Corps. He ended up proving himself. But, humans becoming Green Lantern should be very rare. Yeah, because they're a lower species, and now they're the dominant species on the Green Lantern Corps. There's like 8 or 9 or 10 of them.
Well, now they have Teen Lantern. Who did she hack? How do you hack the?
She hacked it with her gauntlet. She stole the powers. She's in training with JoJo Mullen right now. Did you know she's the multiverse's greatest detective? She's usurped Batman.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the Future State book. I just rolled my eyes. Okay, sure.
So stupid. Is there anything over there? I know you're more of a Marvel guy. Is there anything else besides this Ben Reilly Spider-Man? And I imagine you're on board for Amazing Spider-Man Beyond board. You're already reading it up till now.
Yeah.
Is there anything else going on at Marvel? It's like, holy crap, this is good.
Looking forward to maybe whatever that Hulk book is.
Oh yeah, the Hulk by Donny Cates and Ryan Otley.
Yeah, I like his art a lot. I think they actually work pretty good together. So
I'll
probably check that out.
You gonna read Devil's Raid?
What's that book?
That's it's coming out of Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto.
I stopped reading that run.
Oh. Well, this is the big crossover event. It'll have Spider-Man and stuff in it. I think it's going to be good. But it has gotten a little stale. Run,
from when I was reading, it was good. I just fell off.
Yeah. Well, for like the last 8 months or so, he's been in prison, and Elektra's been Daredevil.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was interesting. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it makes sense. She has the skill set to be a Daredevil. But the problem is Matt's just sitting in prison moping. They've offered him deals and stuff, and it's like, dude, you got to stop blaming yourself here, man. It's like you've turned state's evidence. You're doing all this stuff. Like it got stale with him being in prison for too long.
You know, why don't they let Chip Zdarsky write Amazing Spider-Man?
So this is interesting. He did an interview I think it's over 6 months ago now, and someone asked him the same thing, like, why don't you do Amazing Spider-Man or Fantastic Four or one of the premier books? And what Zdarsky said in the interview was he doesn't like editorial oversight, so he likes to be on a smaller title so he doesn't have to tie into every single event, and he doesn't have Marvel's editorial coming in and dictating the stories that he's going to write. So he wants to stay away from high-profile characters.
They weren't on him when he was doing... Were they calling it Spectacular Spider-Man when he was writing
Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man?
Okay. Yeah, that was a great. Other than after the first 5 issues,
first 5 issues are terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible. But after that book is amazing.
Yeah.
So they weren't.
Yeah, that
on
was
his ass
really good
during that book. I find
remember he leaves. He and G. Jonah Jameson leave New York, and they were like bouncing through the multiverse and stuff.
Yeah,
and going to different versions of Earths, trying to figure something out. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Man, that was a fun run. I remember it was way better than Slots.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even close.
That
was like the best comic in all comics for like a year. It was that and Immortal Hulk.
They have like 6 writers on Spider-Man Beyond, which I really don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's too many cooks in the kitchen.
You remember what happened with X-Men when they relaunched Uncanny X-Men for the last time?
Yeah.
They had way too many writers just to get to that stupid event and then give the book to Matthew Rosenberg. He does the work of his life, Flash. The first Matthew Rosenberg comic book ever worth reading, and then they give it away.
It was actually pretty good.
Yes, it was good for 7 issues.
I like
11 through 17.
I like that they were like their base was in a bar and all that stuff. You had Cyclops in his 90s gear again. Like, I thought that was a fun run.
They had a checklist of all the stuff they needed to undo that was crap that happened in the past. I was like, yeah, this is good. But
yeah, that was his big shot. And then like, okay, you're done.
Yeah, well, he's doing a lot of work in DC now. He's doing that Task Force Z. I think it's Task Force Zombie book, and he's also doing that DC versus Vampires book, and he's doing a lot of backup stories in all the Batman books right now. DC's getting on the Rosenberg train.
As long as they're getting off the Bendis train, I'm okay with it.
Well, you saw the.
Oh, I hear he's going to pick up Batman. You saw
the tease, right? You put that Batman thing up on social media. Everyone thinks Bendis is going to write Batman. There's no way he's going to write like a Batman Black Label miniseries or something.
It's going to look like that panel that's going around for the X-Men book.
Oh my goodness, that thing was. I don't even know where that thing's from, but I remember I saw it. I was like, "Is that from the Bendis X-Men?" It's just like one dude on a chair is talking to somebody, and like
the Colossus with the gray streaks, which is recent.
Maybe.
Pretty sure that's like a new thing. Him having that gray hair.
Colossus has only been in X-Force so far. It definitely wasn't in X-Force because I'm reading that one, and that wasn't the same artist. I'm not sure where that came from. I should probably track it down. Like, did Bendis secretly sneak back over to Marvel when we weren't looking?
It's just, what are the editors doing? They're the laziest. I don't even think they're doing their job.
No, I just had Roland Mann. He used to work with Malibu Comics. He was also, I believe, an editor at Marvel. Now he does a smaller independent company that I guess he owns. I think it's called Silverline Comics. Real smart guy, knows all about editing. We just talked about that for like an hour. That dude was frustrated. I was like, I get you, buddy. I'm having the same issues. It would suck if I was actually a good editor and I could really see what was going wrong.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're doing. Hopefully they figure it out with Spider-Man, because I mean I'd like to see some good Ben Reilly comics. I know he's not gonna stick around forever, but I'd hope to get something out of it. Like maybe we can get a Scarlet Spider book back or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, if it does well enough, and hey, there's 5 writers: Kelly Thompson, Saladin Ahmed, Cody Ziegler, Patrick Gleason, Zeb Wells. From what I'm told, Zeb Wells is like the guy, like the head guy. We'll see how that turns out. I'm hoping that means he's going to be the next Spider-Man writer. We shall see. Who do you want to be the next Spider-Man writer, like full-time guy? It's obviously Nick Spencer left. You want Zdarsky?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I don't
think so.
I think he could do a great job with it, just on his spectacular run. I think it would be fun.
So it's so weird that like Zdarsky is like, pardon my French, he's like the ultimate dick tease. You get this Marvel 2-in-1, you're like, oh my goodness, this guy's going to be the greatest Fantastic Four writer. That was an
awesome run, that 2-in-1.
Like the last few decades. It's like, this is going to eclipse Hickman. Dan Slott. I'm like, what? And then
why?
Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine him going up to Amazing Spider-Man? Nick Spencer. Now, Nick Spencer turned out fine. He's done a good job. And I definitely think he's redeemed his reputation a bit after this Secret Empire stuff.
But he's like just bringing it full, like, because he used to be really hostile and like political, and he did the Captain America thing was terrible. Yeah. And what did he do? He like locks down his social media. Seems like he's just putting his nose to the paper and just writing and not. That's all you know. When you talk about Nick Spencer now, all you're going to talk about is how good his Spider-Man book is. And
he got rewarded. He got one of those grants from Substack. I think he was the first guy, and I think they're getting paid like $300,000 a year with like medical insurance and stuff. That's not including like the subscription, the subscriber fees and stuff for the people paying for it. So, it all worked out. Dan Slott didn't get that deal for a reason.
Yeah, well, Dan Slott, he's too busy checking Twitter.
Yeah, he's too busy bullying people like Jimmy and stuff. That was crazy. But Nick Spencer
redemption arc, man, like
Aubrey Citizen had a similar thing where he went out and did a heel turn, and then he's decided, you know what, let me go sell my comic books, and now everybody likes him again.
Yeah, I didn't read his book, but I liked that whole Beef Bros pitch he did. It looked fun. He made it look fun. Yeah,
he made you not want. Like, there are too many creators out there you don't want to buy the book just to spite the creator.
I feel like people are forgiving if you just,
Absolutely.
I can't, like Nick Spencer, I got no issues with Nick Spencer. He gave me good books, didn't call me a piece of garbage. He just made good stuff.
If you like Zdarsky, he's got this, do you like Red Hood?
Yeah, I like Red Hood.
Okay, so he just did a Red Hood story, and it's called Batman Urban Legends. Don't go buy Batman Urban Legends. It's too expensive. But when they release that trade, because it was regular-sized issues for 6 issues, it'll be a nice book. But it's basically it's a really good Red Hood story, kind of discovering himself and remembering his childhood. And he finds like this little kid, and he names him Blue Hood and stuff like that. Written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Eddie Barrows. Is fantastic. If it was his own comic book, it would have been like 5 stars every week. It was good.
I'll have to check it out.
Absolutely. Be on the lookout for that one. If I see it in the solicits, because I always do a video on that, I will send you the link and be like, this is what I was talking about.
Okay. Yeah, send it my way.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on 30 minutes. We talked about the changes to Spider-Man. I tried to explain as far as what I know of what Kindred is. Got to talk about your favorite character, Ben Reilly. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we kind of wrap this up, Flash?
Yeah, don't mess him up, Marvel.
Oh, they're going to screw this up. There's 5 of them. Get out of here.
I hope they don't. Well, at least I'll have the Ben Reilly Spider-Man book.
Yeah, that's Jim DeMatteis.
That's the one I want the most, anyway. Because that's going back to when he was he was Spider-Man, and I guess he was Peter Parker at the time until they changed it, but. Yeah, he wasn't the clone.
Yeah, remember? It was got too confusing. Yes. Peter Parker was the clone the whole time. Like, what? So we'll definitely come back here and talk about comics and maybe something a little bit more spicy. But if you like Ben Reilly, Flash is your guide. He says, check out Ben Reilly Spider-Man. It's going to be a good book.
Yeah, check it out.